Good evening and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today, we will be talking about disengagement by Indian and Chinese troops at the line of actual control and creating a 4-kilometer buffer zone between the two sides. There are reports citing Indian Army sources that India and China have completed disengagement in Galwan Valley. Both sides have moved back their troops by up to 2 kilometers and a buffer zone has been created. What does it mean for India strategically? How should we see the creation of buffer zone in Galwan since there has been no dispute so far about this area? In this edition of the agenda today, we will try to find answers to such questions from Lieutenant General Retired Vinod Bhatia, who has served as Director General of Military Operations in the Indian Army. Before we welcome General Bhatia, let's have a look at this small report.
The Indian Army has begun a rigorous verification process to monitor the withdrawal of the Chinese People's Liberation Army from friction points along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh, even as complicated disengagement planned move forward in Hot Springs and Gogra, where the two armies are working to create a 4-kilometer buffer zone between troops within a 24-hour time frame. The PLA has withdrawn up to 2 kilometers from the patrolling point 15, Hot Springs, and a similar retreat is expected to be completed at patrolling point 17, Gogra, with the Indian Army pulling back proportionately. This is based on an understanding reached last week by top Indian and Chinese military commanders on a phased de-escalation of the ongoing border conflicts in the Ladakh theatre. The two armies have already created a 4-kilometer buffer zone in Galwan Valley, the site of a deadly clash which left 20 Indians and an unconfirmed number of Chinese soldiers dead on June 15. The creation of the buffer zones will temporarily restrict the patrolling activities of both armies in the region. While some experts saw this as a necessary step, others cautioned that the temporary curtailing of the patrolling rights should not become a long-term feature, undermining Indian presence and control. The military build-up in Indian and Chinese death areas, however, hasn't thinned, with both sides keeping their guard up. The deployment of thousands of soldiers, fighter jets, helicopters, tanks, artillery guns, missile systems and air defense weapons continues in the region. The Indian Air Force is already projecting its capabilities of carrying out day and night all-weather combat missions in Ladakh, with frontline fighter jets, attack helicopters and multi-mission choppers getting airborne for demanding nighttime missions from a forward air base in the area. As India and China remain locked in standoff, Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar spoke to counterparts from the US, the UK, France, Germany, Indonesia, Australia, Canada and Japan, among others, delivering what the government believes are reasonably results. Diplomatic sources said there was intense curiosity among the countries about the India-China clash, the causes and how India planned to deal with it. Government sources said that they believe PM Narendra Modi's visit to Ladakh amplified the Indian resolve on standing up to Chinese aggression. India's job was also made easier by the general sense of aggression shown by China with all its neighbors both on land and on the seas. Bureau Report.
So let's welcome General Bhatia to the program. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir. So let me begin by asking you, sir, the reports about disengagement by both sides in Galwan Valley. But do you think it is a compromise by India since Galwan has never been a disputed area?
No, I will not say it is a compromise. I think it is the need of the day, the need of the situation. We have to understand that there is an unprecedented transgression, incursion by PLA all along the LAC, starting from Nakola in Sikkim in early May, going on to Pengongso, Gogra, Galwan and Gibson. So we have to understand these are different circumstances, and it's been now over 2 months now that the discussion has been on, and the two sides at the military level and the diplomatic level have decided to disengage. Disengagement has been executed because of the Galwan incident, where for the first time there is a loss of life, violent incidents along the LAC after 1975. So this buffer zone would definitely add to peace and tranquility. However, let me also say that after Galwan, there is a lack of trust. What the Chinese did out there was pre-planned, it was ambushed, and there is a lot of trust out there. And the disengagement process will be lengthy and laborious. But the buffer zone is required to ensure that we have disengaged for the present time, and there are no more friction points, and that can spiral out of control like it happened.
No, why I said whether it is a compromise or not, because Galwan, as per my understanding, has never been one of those disputed areas, and India has always been patrolling there and doing whatever because it's Indian land. So if Indian troops are moving back, is it a compromise or conceding something?
No, I will not really say that. The point is that the line of actual control, we have to understand what the line of actual control actually is. If you get onto the Twitter or social media, a lot of internet, a lot of satellite imagery experts are interpreting satellite imagery. They also
I am not taking cue from social media, please. Could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I am not taking cue from social media. I am asking as per my understanding. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. As per understanding, also what I'm trying to say is that the line of actual control, line of perception.
Yeah.
We have a line of perception as India.
Yeah.
China has a line of perception as China. There is no common understanding of line of perception. To compound the confusion, we have a Chinese perception of the line of perception. Similarly, China has an Indian perception of the line of perception. So there are actually, in effect, 4 lines, as we may say, and these are all imaginary lines. We cannot plot them on a map. So when we say that Galwan, yes, we have to understand that these are patrolling points. This is not the line of actual control. These are patrolling points. Patrolling point 14 is near Galwan, where the river comes into. So we have to understand that this is the requirement of the day. No one is giving up the claim. No one is saying that we will not patrol in future. It is a present requirement to disengage, create a buffer zone necessitated by the events which have taken place in the last 2 months. And I think it's a responsible step by India. We should look at it in a positive manner, that a situation which is a crisis situation is somehow being resolved at the military and diplomatic level, which is mutually acceptable and equitable. We have to understand mutually acceptable and equitable. So that is the underlying concern. It is mutually acceptable.
Yeah, I agree with you that the line of actual control, in fact, entire thing is a matter of perception. According to our perception, this is our land, and this, according to Chinese perception, that is LAC is drawn. So according to our perception, Galwan was under our control or is under our control. So if we step back from there, that's why I'm again insisting on, still asking that question. So if according to our perception, and China has also considered all this decade that it is Indian land or India can patrol up to a point and all that. So now we are stepping back. That is why I'm specifically asking that question.
Okay, let me clarify.
Yeah.
You see, we patrol up to patrol point 14, 15, 16, 17, 17, whatever that line is.
Yeah.
That does not mean that China does not come west of those patrol lines. They also patrol west of the patrol points. Right?
Yeah.
So that is where the translations occur. We go up to a certain point, they come to, our perception to the east of it, their perception to the west of it. So they also come to, areas which we claim as controlled by our side of the lake. So we have to understand that it is mutual. If we are giving away 2 kilometers for the present to create a buffer zone, so is PLA also, China is also giving away 2 kilometers. So the buffer zone is a requirement so that we do not get into a friction point, into a spiral which could lead to, ugly incidents like Galwan. So the start point at Galwan is very essential because Galwan is central to Gogra, it is central to Dixon, It is also central to in Guangzhou, and it is also more doable in Galwan. So that is why I think we should give the credit to the two sides for having reached a consensus and a mutually acceptable, agreeable, equitable way forward.
So, please, as you are, in fact, I wanted to ask you about that. How strategically important is this Galwan area for us and maybe for China?
See, it is not a question of being strategically important. I do not give such strategic importance to Galwan area. It is tactically and operationally important. Strategically, it is not important because it does give an access to the DBO road. There is no denying the fact. And but let me also say that having said that access to DBO road, the road from Darpok, Shok, DBO has been under construction for 19 years now. It started in 2000. As a DGM, I tried to give it a push, especially after DIGICABLE invasion happened. But the fact remains that this road is definitely important to us. It is tactically, operationally important to us as it gives us access to, Dolan Bay Goldie and areas south of it across the Shok River. Most of us do not understand that the Shok River cannot be crossed in summers because the waters get flooded. Normally in high altitude, in summer the roads are open, but this is one road which we could use when the snows were there because we would drive over the Shok River, but we cannot use when the Shok is flooded. So the bridges were very important, which we have constructed over a period of time. So I do feel that if the Chinese wanted to block the, interdict the road as we said by some experts, they would have done it prior to us completing operationalizing the road. That's my view. Of course, this is definitely a pressure point, and China is adept at putting pressure points. We have to understand the Chinese strategy. The Chinese strategy is to position the pressure points everywhere they can, and operationally it is definitely important to them.
So, talking from the Chinese perspective, is it important for them in the context of CPEC or maybe having access to Saltoro Ridge or Siachen?
See, we need to comprehend that the Siachen lifeline is from Leh to Khardungla. It is across the Khardungla Pass. The Sasanda-Sasoma passes are very high, and there we can go man-pack, but at those altitudes, a man also can carry very little. So, to that way, the complementarity between the DBO road and the Sasoma-Sasanda regions and the Siachen is limited. Yes, CPC is a China dream. It is central to the China BRI, and CPC is exceedingly important to China, as is Gilgit-Baltistan, because it gives access to China. China would not like any interference with Gilgit-Baltistan. It has invested about 62 billion US dollars, and not only that, it gives them access to Gwadar port, which resolves or sorts out to some extent the Malacca dilemma of China, as it gives them access to the oil in the Gulf region, Western Asia. So that way, I think CPC is extremely important, but there's no direct connect between CPC and this and Galwan. There are ridges in between, and these are high-altitude areas. Very difficult to connect. Complementarity is not there. The roads are, the road would go over the Satalla Ridge, which is very, very high. It is about 5,400 meters around, right?
So you have overseen, I think, operation during Depsang face-off. So how is that different from this face-off?
So that was totally different in the way that it was the first time that China had made an incursion after 86 Sundrong 2. So 86 to 2013, we had face-off, we had standoff, but they were limited in time, and China never tried to change the status quo. In Depsang in April 2013, they changed the status quo by pitching in tents at a place called Raki Nala, which denied us access to the to our petrol points north of Galwan. From that Raki Nala, it's not that we could not have access to from other areas, we could have access them, but that would have been time consuming, and logistics were major issues out there. So they changed the status quo, and it took 21 days on 5th of May. Then after the talks at the political level, at the diplomatic level, and the military level also, they decided to revert to status quo, and they went back to their post at Chipcha. And that is how it was resolved at that point of time. The present ones are different. The present ones come at a time when the world is facing a pandemic. They come after the Wuhan spirit. They come after the second informal summit between the two leaders. They come at multiple places. they are more in scope, more in intensity, more in depth, more in frequency. So that we have to see that it is not a one-off face-off like in Depsang. It is not one-off like in Tumor in 2014 September. It is not one-off like Doklam, which they were reconstructing a road of a Jampari Ridge. So this is definitely different, and this is more in intensity. It is at multiple places. There are 4 points or 5 points if you look at it now. Depsang, Galwan, Gogra, Pangongso, and also Nakola. There have been incidents out there also in second. So we are seeing this a big change from the Chinese side, especially at a time when the world is facing a pandemic, which is of course the made in China coronavirus.
So are you suggesting that it was a well-planned operation by China, unlike earlier?
It will be a very it will be a good assessment to say it was well planned. Because you see, it happened, the winters, it happened just at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
It happened April and May beginning.
It's almost like Kargil. It's like almost like Kargil.
No, I will not say that. Sorry.
No, I mean the timing, winter, after the winters and all.
Yeah, the timing, yes. But otherwise, the intent, no. Kargil was a different operation altogether.
Yeah, that was a massive, bigger scale.
Yeah. Much bigger, and the intent was different. It was a direct intent. There were political parameters there also. But my point is that in this particular case, they would have definitely planned it out earlier, because it started in spurts and it came as a massive build-up also. Build-up in high peaks does take time, irrespective of the fact that China has a multi-dimensional, multi-modal infrastructure out there, consisting of expressways, the Central Highway, the Western Highway, the Eastern Highway, the QTR Railway, the airfield. So China has definitely got better infrastructure there. We have no doubts about it. But still, with good infrastructure also, it would have taken time for it to move its troops, to build up logistics, and to build up troops out there. Unlike us, China keeps its troops right in the in infrastructure which is developed. China, as I said, invested in 3 R's. They invested in roads, they invested in radars, which are early warning systems, and they invested in reserves. So, unlike us, we are deployed almost all along the line of action control, and we are permanently deployed. This is a defensive deployment. It is not a offensive. It is a defensive deployment, and rightly so, because territorial integrity is exceedingly important, non-negotiable as far as India is concerned, and we do not have the infrastructure which they had for many years. We had a self-restraint from building infrastructure in a misbelief that if we build infrastructure, China will use it. For very long years, we did not.
I call it a regressive policy that we had for decades, that we should not build roads, that Chinese will come in, isn't it?
Yes, it was a regressive policy. In hindsight, yes, I agree with you totally, but the government of the day took a decision at that point of time. In 2005, the 73 strategic roads were sanctioned. Out of that, only 62 they were to complete 12-13. But now only 62 of the 70 roads have been constructed.
62?
So, I think we have to, 62 out of 73.
Okay.
Correct.
And how many are there planned? How many more are planned?
There were 73 roads
73, yeah,
sanctioned in 2005.
Yeah.
So, but now we need much more roads, because things have changed. And we need roads not only for defense, but we need roads for development of our water areas, for a population out there which is also growing. They need access to communication, they need access to education, to health. We should also encourage tourism. Most of these are very beautiful areas, very beautiful sanctuaries. And these are our areas, irrespective of China claiming them. So we have to invest in the infrastructure out there in a very big way, whether they are roads, airfields, bridges, and habitat also for that matter, for our villages also. And we should create civil infrastructure also.
Yeah, I also thought that I think 74 roads had been sanctioned in 2003. But 2005, yeah. So, but progress has been slow on these projects. Do you think so?
Projects, it is slow as an understatement. I think it has been very, very slow.
I mean, progress has been slower. I want to say.
Progress has not been there. Even the road to DBO has taken 19 years. 2000, we wanted the road, it started, and 2019 operationalized. I think it is very slow. Let's also say, look inward. In the year 2020, we are taking laborers from Jharkhand to build roads in Ladakh.
Yeah,
We have to get plants, we have to get machinery. Laborers cannot build roads. By the time, in the month of July, they go acclimatize. It is mid-July when they do. How can laborers build roads from Jharkhand? We have to invest in machinery because the building time out there, the working period is only about 5 to 6 months we get. And we have to change the way we want to infrastructure build up. We give a single contract. No contractor will put his machinery out there for 5 months, then let it lie for 7 months. We'll have to give roads which are, complementary to each other, and so that in the winter he works in higher altitudes, and then he comes down during, in the summer he works in higher altitudes, during winter he comes down and works in lower altitudes. So we'll have to wait. We cannot go as per the old methodology of L1 and tender. We'll have to make an infrastructure development plan, integrated plan, where we have the National Highway Authority of India taking on the major roads. Then we have the border road organization with the
maybe create a new body which looks into only these projects.
Yes, I think they should come under the Niti Aayog, and we have to have infrastructure is a very major weakness which we need to overcome. China has.
I am hearing even now that infrastructure. I mean, there are no roads, and it's a huge Herculean task to carry assets to the forward point.
Correct. In the high-altitude areas, even vehicles don't go out there. There are major issues. Men don't go out there. Animal transport is very limited. What you can carry is very limited. So you need high mobility vehicles, especially for the high-altitude areas. We have been having some. They break down very often. But we need roads. If we have roads, if we have ALGs, if we have helipads, these are integrated plans. Then our problem also comes in because, we are a good democratic country. Every time you want to, and most of the areas are sanctuaries actually. Even the alternate road, which goes to, let's say, Demchok and Chumar and all, it goes to a sanctuary. It is, so if it's a sanctuary, the Supreme Court orders there, you cannot build a road in a sanctuary. So these are different needs. And the Land Act of 2014 should be amended to, at least from Indo-China border of 100 kilometers, you don't have to follow the Land Act. Because these are acts of parliament, and they restrain us. So we'll have to, go back and take a hard look at how to build capabilities to deter China's aggressiveness. Aggressiveness is not going to start with the buffer zone. It is not going to stop with just because we have had talks. This is going to continue for a long time, and we need a long-time integrated development plan for infrastructure, for capability development, and it should be integrating our economy, our diplomacy, our military might, our Indian Ocean region, our air assets. So it has to be a full plan. We'll have to go back to the drawing board. Yes.
I think the only good thing has happened, that is activation of DBO airport, isn't it?
No, DBO was activated earlier also in 2008. It was activated again in 2013 after Dixon also.
I mean, over this period.
Over this period, yes. We had practices during Bhavan Shakti also. But yes, during this period, the Air Force has done a commendable job. We must compliment the Air Force for moving the assets and moving it very well. And it's a good show of force. Defense. Our peace has to come through preparedness. We have to deal with China from a position of relative strength. If we do not create strengths which are showcasing our might, we will not be able to get this buffer zone and disengagement. Why should China disengage? They only disengage when they know that we are serious about it. And I think China went very wrong. They did not understand India's resolve to stand firm. I think China did not factor that in. When they came to Pangong, so they thought, okay, we'll go there, we'll change the status quo, and that was. They never factored in India's very resolute response, I must say. And that is not at only the military level, it's a diplomatic level, it's the political level. Prime Minister's visit to Leh was an excellent signal to everyone, internally to India, to the armed forces, and to China also, and to the rest of the world. So that is the resolute response which we should do.
So there is also one question which actually perplexes me, is about the proposal to create mountain core. It just disappeared after some years, isn't that?
Yes, you see, we live from crisis to crisis. Unfortunately, our budget is limited. There are priorities, competing priorities at national level. So this was sanctioned in July, August 2013 after Dixon. The mountain strike, it is actually a crucial force. It is more than a mountain strike force. And some of these assets had come up, and They are in right now. They've been positioned in Ladakh, so that has been a very big favor for us because they had come up and they were positioned out there. Unfortunately, this was to be raised over a period of 8 years for 64,000 crores approximately.
Yeah.
8,000 crores per year. But the funding never came. Because the funding never came, naturally it created void in other places. And I think in 2017, finally, the raising was stopped and all. So I think we need reserves. That's what I said. China said the 3 R's: reserves, roads, and radar. We need to now upgrade our ISR capabilities, that's our surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities. We will need to upgrade our reserves also because mountains eat up. Everyone knows that. Everyone says we exploit technology. Technology can only be an aid. Technology is not an answer to a man out there. Technology, our power packs don't function out there for more than a few hours. Without power packs, no technology works. You have to understand that there are limitations at altitudes of 4,500 to 5,000 meters. So these limitations have to understand. Very good to say that we are not exploring technology. We have got UAVs, we have got ISR capabilities, but they do not, give the same outputs as we would like them to give. So there's no alternate to manning the LAC.
Yeah.
UAVs cannot do it. It has to be physically manned.
Yeah, you rightly said that we need to go back to the drawing board. So, I am sorry for saying that, but our time is running out. So thank you so much for participating in this debate. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another interesting topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.